This video is for page 1 of your workbook, and we are going to be learning about how to talk about large numbers and how to compare them to other numbers. And in number 1, I just ask you to think about 5 things in the world that you can describe with numbers. There's probably so many different answers to this, so it would be interesting to see what you come up with. I have listed 5 in my answer key. I always really liked this quote. What are some things that count or matter that are hard to measure with numbers? Some numbers, when you have a decimal, sometimes that's a thing that you measure, and when you have integers, those are things that you count. Like if you're counting things, you're not going to come up with 1.37 of something. Integers are just whole numbers. But sometimes when you measure things, you get decimals. Anyway, that's a little sidetrack. Things you care about in the world that are hard to actually count or measure. It's just worth observing that numbers have limited usefulness, although they really have helped us to describe our world, and we will be using numbers throughout this course to describe the world. Numbers give us the ability to describe our observations with precision. There are a lot of people in the world, but how many people were in the world in 1800, 1900, and 2000? So before we jump into it, we can look at, okay, 1,000,000 has 6 zeros and 1,000,000,000 has 9 zeros. And you might have already known that. But sometimes people can't answer this question. 1,000,000,000 has 3 more zeros. It's actually 1,000 times bigger than 1,000,000. And of course, yes, it's hard to understand what 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 actually look like, but it's good to know that 1,000,000,000 is 1,000 times bigger than 1,000,000. Now, for each page in your activity, I will have an answer key. So if we flip over to the answer key for page 1, you can see that I've listed out my answers. And it's often the case that you can have different answers that are okay, or you may have a different approach for a numerical question. And if you get to the same result, that might be just fine. So these are the answers that I listed. Population, distance, temperature, elevation, and rainfall were things that came to mind for me. And these are things that are harder to count with numbers, that are still really important. And then here are my answers for the last 3 questions on this page.